dictates like what you think?
No, without definitive evidence, you can only have more faith if your confidence has gone up. Because what? Is it just the amount of more pictures from space that you've seen, or because as far as we're concerned, there's nothing definitive. So the fact that your confidence has increased suggests that your faith has just increased.
Well, it's more of like show me the money, right? Like flat earthers have talked about for years for getting pictures of the ice wall or discovering things, and they just haven't done it. They just haven't come up with something.
Okay.
And so as the years go by, it's just more and more true that they just haven't come up with something.
Has a bunch of flat earthers been allowed down to Antarctica, have they?
Yeah, anybody can go to Antarctica. No one's stopping you.
Really? Huh.
I mean, we had 500 people go into the Capitol building. You can go anywhere. No one's stopping you.
Yeah. It's a bit easier to access, don't you think? You can just use your legs and get there.
You're roboting, but yeah. I don't know if you're in your car or what. You said you're in a loud place. Are you inside like a Walmart or something? Black Friday shopping? You in that Best Buy?
We don't have any of those chain stores here, mate. No.
What you got there? What kind of big box stores you got?
There's Kmart, if you know Kmart.
Oh yeah, Kmart. I love Kmart.
There's Bunnings, which is a really big hardware chain, but they don't just have hardware; they have a lot of different shit now.
What's it called? Bunnies?
Yeah, Bunnies.
Okay.
Bunnies hardware. No, Bunnings. Fucking, we have one
Bunnings.
in Costco.
Costco. Okay, yeah.
But I've
Are
never
you a
seen
member
it.
of Costco?
A long way away from where
Are you
I
a
am.
card-carrying
No.
Costco person?
God, no. I've never seen the building.
All right. Well, maybe you'll have triplets someday.
Triplets? Fuck that.
Fine. Quintuplets.
No, that's a very special
Sextuplets.
type of person that gets triplets to look after. Very special type of person.
So let's see. What other big box? You got any? You got Walmart there?
No.
Target?
Yes. Although they're going broke.
Target. You said you're in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, I'm a Kiwi. Got my flush and chops.
So you got Target.
And Beach does, bro. Beach does.
Let's see.
Dude, I want to come down. I want to come down. I'm going to come to Australia during the.
Sure.
Yeah, it'd be awesome during the winter up here. Yeah, winters are not fun up here. Although where I'm at, it's not too bad. But I want to come to be in the sun with you. That just sounds fun.
Just got to take all these leaders out one by one.
Gio, where are you at?
I'm in Northern California.
Oh, all right.
Up in the mountains.
I got family in Chico, California.
Chico.
Yeah, I moved out to the Bay Area back in 2006, and then, but now I've moved like outside of the Bay Area because it was getting once the current thing where the COVID deal hit like 2 years ago, it was just like the Bay Area was getting locked down super. It was just too restrictive, so I moved out of the Bay Area. Like they were closing down all the beaches, all the trails. It was just like they killed it. So
too oppressive, isn't it? When that happens, got to get out.
Yeah, and at that time, like where I moved to, like at the time I didn't even have to wear masks. I don't even wear masks anyways. I use this little face shield thing, which is more of like a visor, the one that I have. But anyways, at that time up there, like where I'm at, like I didn't have to do anything, so it was worth getting out of that area for freedom, and still is because I mean I was in the North Bay, so I was north of San Francisco, but the whole city of San Francisco, like they just did a whole jab mandate thing, and so it's just they really have a lot of focus there. It's really one of the world's main like focuses for the whatever if they build a smart city type thing. I don't even like that term smart city,
Right.
but just that idea because it's
Global
the tech.
homo.
It's the tech center of the world, basically. Silicon Valley and all of the tech that runs the whole world, is there. So I think they have that much more kind of desire to kind of lock it down and have it controlled.
It's Brave New World.
Just that whole area, yeah. Which they're doing with big cities like that. Well, they have at least somewhat more, like New York City and LA and stuff. There's the mandates and stuff that they're going heavier on there. Jeremy, have you ever been out here? You ever been out to California or?
No, I never been out to the West Coast.
He's an island boy.
I am a certified West Coast kitty cat killer.
Oh, sounds like all those eggs are settling in, mate.
I'm putting the kid to bed.
Turkey and eggs are taking their toll.
No, I'm trying to put the kid to bed.
Oh, right, sorry.
9:44. This guy's partying like a rock star up in here.
Now your kid's gonna say to the teacher, "I'm a California kitty cat killer."
Someone's getting sleepy.
Bit of rum in the eggnog, mate, that'll do it. Just had a choice of 4 steaks in front of me and did not know which one to choose. Fucking that's a first world problem. Fuck. Oh shit.
Yeah, New Zealand, they got a lot of cattle in that place, right?
Yeah, even over in Australia they've got a few, I've heard. Bloody Aussies. Yeah, Aussie cows release heaps more methane than fucking New Zealand cows. Climate change has pretty much been driven straight from Australia. Bastards.
You have a family in Australia?
I do.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's why you didn't have hard feelings for them.
You know, I love the Aussies.
I thought you might have been a hardcore New Zealand first guy.
How far are you from Fiji,
no.
Whites? How far is it to get to Fiji from where you're at?
Shit.
Depends.
I
Are you
think
looking at
8
the
hours,
Azimuth
something like
map?
No, I'm looking it up. It says 3 hours and 42 minutes from Fiji to
From
New
my
Zealand.
Oh yeah, you know I'm not in New Zealand, Geo.
Oh, I know, but you just said Kiwi a minute ago. I know you're in Australia, but
Yeah, I'm just playing with the fella here.
okay. All right, you were just messing around.
Yeah. Sorry.
Are you near Sydney? Is that right?
No, I'm near Adelaide.
Adelaide. Okay. So how far is that? So that's yeah, I can't say that I know my Australian geometry too well. I'd have to pop up a map.
Geography.
Geography. What did I say? Geometry.
Geometry, yeah.
Okay, so that's like
Adelaide. Yeah, south, east, inland, south. I don't know how to describe that. Great. What's that? Kangaroo Island. Oh, okay. Well, that's not stereotypical at all. There's a place called Kangaroo Island.
Yeah, that's the place that just got burnt out recently in the big fires. The whole island pretty much got bloody scorched, and all the koalas died.
Oh, right. Is that when people were like running into the ocean and they like died, they drowned? No, I'm thinking of Germany. Thinking of a different natural disaster, but
There were scenes like that, mate. Yeah, it was pretty full
okay.
on. But the whole world was well, not the whole world. The celebrity people in the world got caught up with raising money for the fucking koalas because there was all photos of half-burnt koalas on the television.
Oh,
So someone made a lot of money. Not sure who it was that made all that cash, but someone took off with it.
the fucking the koala people.
Yeah, probably Hemsworth. Hemsworth probably got it all somehow. Thor
Goddamn
himself
nut.
collected, I think.
Fucking Kangaroo Island. Well, they better install a lot of sprinklers on the island now.
yeah. So I'm looking at this. This is pretty cool layout. That's quite a big bay there. So is there a lot of boating there, or like, I mean, is this all boatable?
You talking near Adelaide?
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
I bet that's pretty awesome. Have you gone out on a boat there?
Different places around there, yeah. Yeah. The weather, the winds and the weather aren't necessarily always favourable. So, there's probably a lot less boating than you're picturing.
Yeah. So what are your winters like? Are those like, what is that like?
Well, we're classed as Mediterranean here in Adelaide, so we've got mild winters and fairly mild summers. We can have a heat wave where it gets up to 40 odd, but that's pretty limited. Very, very rare do we get temperatures below zero.
Yeah.
So it's quite mild all year round.
Awesome.
We get hardly any humidity, so it's always dry, like around 55%.
I'm just looking at this globe on Google Earth right now. And this is just so wrong. Like what I'm looking at right now, like this WGS 84 is just not what the Earth is. Because I'm looking at Adelaide, I'm trying to get a sense of how it actually lays out on the Earth, and this globe thing is just a mess. They've got it all wrapped around here. Oh man, the way it shows New Zealand, yeah, this is just. I mean, it has to be somewhat accurate, but they've used flight paths to make up the difference.
When I was a lot younger, watching the television, and the news would come on, and I was always fascinated how it didn't matter which channel, which news it was, they'd always have like the cartoon Earth sort of spinning in the background. That was the backdrop. And New Zealand didn't matter fucking which day it was or which channel you went to. New Zealand was always in a different fucking spot compared to bloody Australia. And it was almost like the mole on Austin Powers' face. You know how it moves around, or one of the characters' face. I can't remember the chick with the mole or whatever. But the fucking it's like the New Zealand kept on moving. So someone was deliberately fucking moving New Zealand around on the map every fucking night for the news. And it just fucking always always, I always noticed it. Yeah, it's crazy. Not sure why anyone would go to that effort, but fucking hell, they did. Maybe they didn't know where it was, or they kept on finding out new information.
Yeah, every year they make New Zealand smaller and smaller. It's like the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Whites, have you been to the U.S.?
No, mate, no.
Interesting. What do you?
Would love to see all the national parks, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'd love to check out Australia sometime as well. We should do like a swap.
I told you that
Or
before.
just
I'm down for a house swap, as long as you can look after the fucking cows.
like, well, it'd be fun like to do that, like where we all go somewhere, either just two people or more, whatever it may be, but like hang out in one place for a while. I mean, I think it'd be fun. There's like a lot of options that we could do. Like one thing is to do retreats, you know, like where, because there's actually things, yeah, there's a lot of options for that. One just direct options like Airbnb, like sometimes that can be pretty like cost effective if you have a group of people. You can get like a whole house. I mean, that's one option. Of course, people own land and things. That's other options. But yeah, like I'm getting a little bit of a feeling that I really like before my life is up, I want to be in some of these other continental regions of the earth. You know, like I gotta just be in the etheric field, check these places out. Like I've never been to Africa either. I at least would like to get somewhere there on that continent at some point as well.
Definitely. And don't let any of the stereotypes or any of the propaganda you've heard over the years put you off either. Because when you get to these places, they're very much quite often the opposite to what you think or what you've been preconceived, you know?
Yeah, I try to have no preconceptions of anything and just take life as it goes in the moment, and then kind of always evaluate that up against my awareness of things. But yeah, I try to never have sort of preconceived or excessive expectations either. Just kind of accept things as they are. So yeah, no matter what I may or may not have heard, like if I were to visit another place, I would completely take it fresh, like from the minute I get there to the entire journey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to be. I mean, some places, obviously, it pays to heed certain warnings, you know?
Yeah.
Like, don't get around with fucking gold watches on your wrist or fucking, looking all flashy because it's going to attract, the wrong attention. So there's definitely certain things you can take note of in certain places, but in general, fucking everyone is just a fucking another person and everyone just wants to live a life. So everyone's the same. Everywhere's the same. That's what I've found anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I even have heard anything negative in terms of Australia. Like it always seems like the vibe that is given off, at least in my life, I would say, is that I'm not saying from actual people, I'm just saying from whatever in the world, just from those perceptions. Like I think there's always a sense that Australians are very nice people, like just very kind in general and more like kind of more like heirloom in a way, like more kind of just connected to the earth and just living. I think Canada's like that too. Yeah, it's a little similar to Canada in that way. Which one did you like? What?
Well, it's just a function of a lack of civil war, and I don't know. There's a whole slew of reasons why we're a bit more in quotes laid back than other people tend to be.
Yeah, like I kind of get a sense like almost like more logical and just more kind of grounded, just like wanting everyone to have a good life. Whereas in the U.S., there's all kinds of like people on the prowl, and in the United States,
yeah,
the trauma here is just so. In some cases, not everywhere, but I mean, the United States changes a lot too. Like you could be in, let's say, the San Francisco Bay Area, and you have that whole vibe there. But if you just start driving like down to LA, and you stop at gas stations, and you like check like the middle of California, it's like a completely different place than the larger kind of city type locations. It's like it can change within an hour or two, and the people are like the whole energy is completely different.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is something that would definitely be interesting to me, without a doubt.
Well, we never really evolved past the Dark Ages. It's called patchwork.
I'm not in any way convinced that what they claim to be the Dark Ages actually existed at all. I think that's all just been fabricated. It's kind of funny
I can
they
see how
call
that
it
could be the
the
case,
Dark
yeah.
Ages. Yeah, they call it the Dark Ages too.
Well, the academics called it the Dark Ages because a certain ethnic clique was shut out of power, so they called it the Dark Ages because of that. A
There you
certain
go.
group of let's call them what do you call them? Levantine people who were not allowed in positions of authority, and so then they're like, oh well, we're gonna call this the Dark Ages then.
Well, they claim this was like between the 5th and 14th centuries, 900 years. And, they're like sort of the Roman Empire and what they refer to as the Renaissance. But they also claim that like there wasn't a lot of advance then. I just think they added all that. I think there's something else actually going on with the history, and that's what was tagged on. Because basically around that 1400s, like that's when they claim Copernicus, and that whole story is sketchy as could be. Like it does seem like Nikolai Copernicus was a real man. Like it did seem like he was like a professor. Like there's actually quite a bit of information of him existing. Now that could all be fabricated, but from what I've looked into, it to me it resonated like that he was a real person. However, he like his main book that proposed heliocentrism only proposed it as a theory, not even to be accepted as reality. However, that was published. It was finally released after he died. So he had already written like a lot of it, and then who knows what was actually released. And that is what is at the core of what they want to sell us as the Copernican revolution, which is the birth of heliocentrism and the entire globe Earth model. So it all like starts right at that time, which is when they're claiming was the end of the Dark Ages.
Oh,
So
it's
what
like a
really,
personality cult.
yeah, like what really came before that, or did they just start usurping stuff back then, and then just made up the history before?
Yeah, the Big Bang game before that. So the whole model of history starts with the heliocentric model.
Exactly, and that Big Bang was thought up by a Catholic priest. What's his name again? I could probably remember it. It's
Lemaitre.
Yeah.
He's like a Danish guy.
Lemaitre and Lemaitre. Yeah, exactly. So All Lives Matter, I mean, are you going with that? Like a Catholic priest, Jesuit, Freemason dude, his theory of how the universe started, is that the one you're co-signing on?
I think the Catholic Church has many different theories because they're very interested in science and stuff.
Right, but
so
I'm saying
they don't have an official like stance on things.
But I'm just saying, is that the one you're going with?
Seems okay. I mean, pretty harmless.
Wait, did you just say that the Catholic Church is pretty harmless?
Well, much of what they do is pretty harmless. Vast majority of the Catholic Church is people on Sunday just sitting in an uncomfortable seat and then going home an hour later.
You ever see
the institution harmless?
It's mostly harmless.
What's up, Ruhif? You down with the Catholic?
Spanish Inquisition was Catholic Church, right?
Church.
Wasn't that the Spanish Inquisition?
We're talking about the Catholic Church moving around known pedophiles so they avoid prosecution. The institution does that, right?
But it's pretty harmless.
I don't know.
Boston Archdiocese.
Ruhif.
Yep.
Are you coming to pray at the altar of the Earth not being a globe?
No. Why would I do that?
I'm just joking, dude. I was just thinking of. I was just thinking of what is your religious thoughts? Like, what are you associated with?
Nothing. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's kind of the globe and the Big Bang. And so, Ruhif, do you Do you go with the story that this Jesuit Catholic priest Lemaitre came up with, the Big Bang? Is that the one that you're also going? Are you
Yeah, isn't that the history of it?
Are you applying for that one?
That's as far as I know. Yeah.
But I'm saying that's your belief system of how the universe started. The Catholic Jesuit priest who came up with that idea.
When you say the universe started, I don't attribute a start to it. Like I just call it the expansion. Expansion of whatever was there.
Into what?
Into the universe. What we have now.
So what was there before?
I don't know. I don't think the Big Bang says there was anything before or says there wasn't anything before.
But that sounds pretty nonsensical.
The Big Bang does not say there was nothing before any sort of time.
But doesn't something?
The Big Bang is an expansion.
Something has to come. You can't have something come from nothing.
Yeah, and the Big Bang doesn't comment on that. Right? Big Bang is an expansion. That's all it is. It doesn't say, oh, there was philosophically nothing and something just popped into existence. It doesn't say that. It's a theory of expansion.
So I guess the expanding. How do you know it's expanding? Because of red and blue shift? Is that the only reason you think?
That's the theory, isn't it?
That's a story. I don't know if theory is the right word.
Fine. It's a story. Fine. Evidence matches the story.
Anybody can make up stories, right? Anyone can just come up with a story.
They can. Do you have evidence to back it?
Not evidence. No, proof to back it, not evidence. I got evidence for Superman being real. That's not proof of him being real. There's a difference.
I have evidence that someone made up Superman in a comic book.
Well, I think the Big Bang. The Big Bang was actually hijacked. Like that Lemaitre guy, he didn't necessarily come up with that at all. That's a very ancient, not necessarily the way he described it not the way they use it in terms of this heliocentric with balls and gravity and shit. But for example, like in terms of creation stories of a lot of the ancient mystical traditions and ancestral traditions, where essentially the universe started in some way at a center, some form of a center, and then did expand out, and the waters were separated from the waters. So you get the waters above, and then you get the earth. And this whole thing is in some sense coming from the north as well. Like you've got, obviously the water would be a part, and then the land potentially kind of like spokes of a wheel is actually coming out from the center, and perhaps everything came from the center of the magnetic field. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that it's expanding out infinitely, but just perhaps that there is some kind of a expansion or growth from a center, outward in a way that this realm was created and somehow came from the center and expanded outward.
Okay, so whoever was saying that's just a story, are you now going to call Gio on that? If you have some evidence for it, Gio, that's great. But who was I speaking to a minute ago saying, oh, it's just a story?
Well, the center of the Earth is the center of the magnetic field. And like if the sun, it is an idea. Yeah, it's And
if you get evidence to back it up, that's great. But until you do, it's it's just it's a hypothesis that hasn't been tested.
Honestly, in a human body, meaning being a human, like in your ordinary mind state, like if you're not, accessing other states, but you're in your ordinary mind state, there will never be a way for you to completely and totally prove the origin of the universe. How could you? You could look and find some things that indicate it in some ways or how long it's been here, but you'd have to expand your consciousness to fully be able to experience and come to that, in my understanding.
Yeah. You are an interesting human, Gio, by the way. With your
that's what he's
mystical stuff.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, but you're right though. Like, it is just a story. When you say you have to have evidence to back your story, well, the evidence, that's also a confirmation bias though too, right? If I say that the whole reason why the sun comes up in the east is because of unicorn magic, and I got a really cool story about that, as well as evidence that proves every morning that the sun comes up in the east. Yeah. That's evidence. That's not proof of anything.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what affirming the consequent is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah, good. Okay, that's why it doesn't prove anything. Excellent. Well done.
Well, that's the thing. That's why there's no proof for the globe, and that's part of the problem
Yeah.
that we're in. You know?
That's why there's no proof of anything in science, because you have to make this inductive leap. You see
So,
something and go,
science,
oh, I wonder what the explanation could be.
pseudoscience.
Say again?
Science or pseudoscience?
Science. Science doesn't prove things. It cannot prove things.
Well, again, I mean, if you're trying to come up with a specific cause of something, that certainly does narrow it down rather quickly.
Yeah, and one thing I was going to mention too, with the difference, Ruhif, between the idea of a heliocentric Big Bang universe creation story and and the idea I suggested, which is more that there's a magnetic field and that it's expanding outwards, more that we're on a stationary planar Earth, which is, let's just say, surrounded by a sphere. Let's just say that for the moment, like a plasma sphere or like an electric field, but it's a planar stationary Earth. However, it did all come from the center in some way. And like the way that the sun is circling at the Tropic of Cancer, the equator, and then all the way out at the Tropic of Capricorn, and then the precession of the equinoxes is caused by the fact that every year at the solstice, the sun is a little bit closer south to Antarctica, just a teeny bit every year. And then that throws its cycle off with its position to the stars at the equinox, which creates the precession of the equinoxes. So that seems to indicate that the sun is actually expanding out very little every year, which is measurable, and perhaps melting the ice. And if that's happening, then it does indicate some outward motion from the center going out in that sense.
Do you have any observation that shows the sun further south than the Tropic of Capricorn's mine, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, just by a little bit. That's what creates. Yeah, that is measurable. Yep, it's
Okay,
yes.
23.6 degrees south, maybe. Something like that.
Well, I wouldn't really go off whatever degree system you're going off, because that's a whole grid system.
Oh,
but actually, before we go off on that,
latitude.
what I was actually trying to say though, because I'm saying between those two creation stories, the Big Bang one and the one I'm mentioning, the one difference is that the one I'm mentioning is correlated with a planar stationary Earth, which, we can measure, we can test that we're on it, et cetera, et cetera. So it is connected to reality in terms of that, in my viewpoint, of course. Whereas a heliocentric one is in my understanding, a complete fabrication that isn't real and isn't verifiable, et cetera, et cetera. So for someone to believe in that one means that you have to believe in something that was kind of created in that sense, and it's needed for this globe Earth belief. Whereas the one I'm suggesting is just one idea, and there could be others as well, but is correlated to the Earth that we experience and live on.
Right. But when you said, doing circles around the tropics, right? You're aware that in the southern hemisphere, in Sydney, right, in the summertime in Sydney, the sun rises south of east and sets south of west. You're aware that happens, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
But and in the north we have 24-hour sun.
Hang on. On a flat plane, if the sun is circling around between the tropics, then it is always north of Sydney. I'm south of the tropics, so the sun is always north of me if it's circling around the tropics.
Right, on both models, on both a globe or a planar flat.
On a globe, it rises and sets south of that east-west line.
Well, we've gone over this many times, and in terms of this one, so I'll just reiterate it, which I say every time, and it really kind of okay. So the sun travels its little circle, whatever we want to call that thing, that the sun, it travels very precisely in the sky. It traces back and forth, or up and down declination from if you're on the Earth, but if you're above, it's like going back and forth over the land. From the Tropic of Cancer, equator, Tropic of Capricorn. So the sun does that, meaning when we're just on the Earth, no matter what model you're using, the Tropic of Capricorn, you can point to it. We know where it is and which stars are close to it. That sun, that little circle, will travel precisely upon that Tropic of Capricorn. On a globe Earth, the Tropic of Capricorn is north of Australia. You can look at any globe, you see, know where it is. And then you've got the equator and the Tropic of Cancer. So on both models, if we're going to take like a globe Earth model, and then let's just say the AE map for the moment, type model. On both models, the sun traverses on the Tropic of Capricorn and is still north on a globe. So it's doing the south thing on both.
No, it doesn't do the south thing on a flat Earth. It does do it on a globe. Do you understand why it rises south of east on a globe?
Yeah, I'll post it for you.
Hang on. I'm driving, so I can't see anything for another few minutes.
Yeah, I do. But,
But hold on a
Okay.
second. I'm here kind of in the north, and the sun doesn't always set or rise in the east. Sometimes it's northeast, and sometimes it's southeast.
Yes. And that's fine because you're on like an AE map thing, right? But in the south, if I'm on the AE map and I'm in the southern hemisphere, the sun on an AE map is always to the north of me. Always. It can never be to the south of that east-west line. Yet that's what we see in reality every summer.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be explained by just having it be a much bigger circle. And
I
the
don't think
percentage.
I'm not sure.
No,
I
it
don't.
can't.
I don't think you. I don't think you're. From my understanding of what you're saying, I'm not sure that you're understanding where the Tropic of Capricorn is on the WGS 84, because it's still north. It's still north of, if you're talking about Australia. So the sun still is doing that. I guess I could post an image for you, but if you know where it is, it's the same. Yeah, there's no. The sun is never southwest on a globe, ever. It's still at the Tropic of Capricorn, and the Tropic of Capricorn is still north, just like it would be on an AE.
You're not getting the 3D geometry here. In fact, if you go on YouTube and search, if you go on YouTube and search Ruhif and Brian's Logic, I think. And this was on Ranty's show probably a year ago, and it's a little clip that Where's Wally pulled out. It goes like 35 minutes. I walk Brian's Logic through this and then explain how the geometry is on a sphere, and he just falls in a heap. It's hilarious. But I can the thumbnail of that video shows the geometry of why it rises south of east. If you just Google the clip, you'll see the thumbnail, which I drew on the fly in the in the Hangout.
I think I've said this before, Ruhif. Maybe not to you, but I mean, I'm south of Adelaide. I've got a southern wall, and that southern wall doesn't get sun on it, or southern facing wall. Yeah, and it doesn't get sun. So I mean, is it just you that you?
Is it a northern facing?
It will in the summertime. Oh, Jesus.
I've lived here for a long time, and the southern wall doesn't get sun. So I'm going to make an actual fucking thing to pay attention this summer. Don't you worry.
Yeah, in the morning it will rise.
For Ruhif or others who are in the chat, I just posted it in the text.
Yeah.
So that's just a basic little glob Earth with the Tropic of Capricorn. See how that also is not southwest and southeast. So on a globe, it's the exact same.
Give me 1 minute to park. Hold on.
They try to use the tilt of the claim, or the claim as the. Sorry, I'm saying it backwards. The tilt as the claim for that. But the thing is that the circle of the sun is always tracking on the Tropic of Capricorn. So the fact that it does that is happening on both. And also the reason it does it is perspective. And this is exactly what I would expect, especially with the sun that's making a wider circle over planar Earth. If it is making that wider, outer circle, then that's even more so why this happens and why the stars make those movements, because they're so far out. Like even if the sky is a disk above us of stars, but as they go out, they're spreading out more, and as the sun spreads out more as well, and then you're just still a little like a personal atmospheric dome type of idea where you're just in your own little field of view. That is precisely how, because the entire sky has to map into your local region. And so the of the stars, the way they're traversing is going to adjust how that happens. So it's exactly what we would expect due to perspective in my understanding.
All right. So that photo you posted, you tilt it back. This is my summer, right? So summer in Australia. So you tilt the southern hemisphere towards the sun, and you spin it back this way so that Australia is on the terminator line, right? So the sun is off to the right. Imagine that. Sun is over to the right, and you tilt the southern hemisphere towards the sun on the right. And Australia is on the terminator line.
Yeah, I know where you're trying to go with it. Take a look at this. Is this what you're kind of describing? It is. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So see how this says sun rays?
Yep.
Okay. That indicates just that where it's lit up, right? Like that, like meaning this whole thing would be lit up, like it'd be daytime, whatever. Okay. Yes. I'm down with that. However, the sun, the circle of the sun is on the Tropic of Capricorn.
Right.
So
that's where it is overhead. Yes.
Yes, that's where it is overhead, and that's what you're claiming is rising south. What you're saying is rising southwest and setting southeast. That
Other
is
way,
the
yep.
Tropic of Capricorn, even on a globe Earth. The sun rays, yeah, maybe you could say the rays are hitting this globe or whatever. Yeah, I get that. But there's still a circle of the sun. And that circle of the sun is when we look up is what we actually see. That is on the Tropic of Capricorn, which is not southwest or southeast of Australia.
Right, you ready? So imagine you're in Santiago there on that image, the second image you posted. You're in Santiago, which I think is below the Tropic of Capricorn. Yeah.
I'd have to see. I mean, what Chile? Okay, you're talking about this one down in.
Yeah,
Chile?
the second image with the sun rays. Imagine you're in Santiago, which let me just check the latitude, but hang on. Santiago latitude is 33. Yep, fine. All right. So imagine you're in Santiago, which is south of the Tropic of Capricorn, and it's on the terminator line, right? So this is sunrise in Santiago. Yeah.
Correct. So,
yep.
Yeah, it would be that Tropic of Capricorn line. That's it. It's
it
the
would be
line
south
of the Tropic of Capricorn. No, it's literally that line because the little circle of the sun is on that line.
It's on that line at midday somewhere else, but in Santiago, it's sunrise, and it's south of the Tropic of Capricorn, right? Santiago is south of the tropics, and it's on the terminator line, so it's sunrise, and it's south of the Tropic of Capricorn. Okay.
And it's rising southwest. You're saying
southeast, yeah.
Southeast.
You understand why it's southeast?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yes, I completely do. So
excellent.
Again,
good.
The circle of just try to just walk with me. It's not about anyone winning or anything. I'm just trying to see if we can get on the same page. That line on that globe, right? See the little dotted yellow line?
Yep. Capricorn.
Okay, showing the Tropic of Capricorn.
Yes.
Wherever you are on this globe, the sun is literally tracking right along that line. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's overhead on that line at some point during the day. Yes.
Yes, the circle that we look up at. If you did a solar filter or whatever, and you're looking at the sky, it's a little, half a degree circle that is the sun, and it's right on that Tropic of Capricorn, right?
Yep.
Okay, so whatever on this globe is happening at that time, the sun is still going on that Tropic of Capricorn. It's not southeast or southwest. It is still on that Tropic of Capricorn. Just because you're saying it's a globe, just because you're saying it's a globe and it's tilted and there's all these sun rays hitting it, that doesn't make it go southwest. The sun is still going on the Tropic of Capricorn, which is why we talked about doing these subsolar points and tracking them and so on. So on whatever model you want to
look at the angle though of incidence.
Yeah, I'm still not sure you're getting it, Gio. Do you accept that on a globe, the angle of incidence south of east?
Yeah, what he's saying is that
I think
Tropic of Capricorn,
tilted back and away from it.
If you're at if you're standing on the line of the Tropic of Capricorn, and at noon you look up straight up, the sun is going to be there, right? All the time. That's why that.
Yes,
right?
And there's no place on this globe model where the Tropic of Capricorn is southwest of Santiago or any of these cities. There's no point.
Yeah,
However,
it's
still going on that Tropic of Capricorn. So there's something going on both models to cause this.
Hang on. Dude, you're not going to park there, right? No. There's one over there.
Ruhif, don't get beat up over a parking spot.
Oh, he's made it impossible for me to get out. Not that I want to get out, but I can literally see a park. We can both see a park that he should go to, and he's just parked where there's obviously no park. Oh, and his fucking car won't start now. Jesus. Holy shit, dude.
Are you nice to people in public, or like you almost sound like you would start some shit? Like,
no.
You got to be firm with people, though.
Yeah, he's can't park there. He's not a big dude either. I'll take him. There's no park over there. Yeah.
But I mean, we're also dancing past the point that you're in order to believe what you're believing, you've got to accept that.
Hang on one sec.
The distance to the sun.
All right.
Don't fight him over the spot, man. Even if you could take him, bro.
Car's broken down. Fuck, what was I saying? Yeah, but I understand that at all points the sun is overhead the tropics, but do you understand the geometry that says that it rises south of east on a globe?
Absolutely not. But feel free to explain.
Well, okay. Yes. Okay. So we're in Santiago on that second image, and it's a little bit south of the Tropic of Capricorn, and it's on the terminator line, so it's sunrise. All right. So you can figure out where it is on that. It's on the coastline of Chile, right? If you draw where east is, it's going to be parallel to the Tropic of Capricorn. It's going to shoot off to the top right. You see that?
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's shooting off on that image. It's shooting off to the top right. Okay, so if the sun is to the right, then sunrise is to the south of east. How about I post the chat that I had with Brian's logic? Hold on.
You can see it.
But you're also, again, we're dancing past the fact. In order to accept what you're saying, is that you have to assume the distance to the sun. And
no, you don't.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. In order to accept what you are saying, that the Earth, because it says on sun rays, it's an arrow, and the sun
just has to be a long way away.
Yeah, you have to. That's our point. Is that you have to assume that it's a long distance away.
No, we don't have to assume it. It doesn't change in angular size. It doesn't change in angular size. It's far away. Anyway, there's the
But again, how far away?
Chat. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change in angular size. Therefore, it is very far away in relation to the size of the Earth.
You're also assuming that it's a physical object.
I don't have to assume that. It fucking gives us light. I don't have to assume what it's made of.
Well, in order to change it, it doesn't change angular size, assuming that it is some sort of. We don't know what it is.
Yeah,
we have to assume many things. Also, this picture, it says that
it is
safe
to assume some of these things, though.
When you're showing pictures of
Santiago,
isn't it safe
to assume?
No, it's not. That's
and light only come from matter.
Is how matter got into this place.
It's safe to assume that heat and light only come from matter.
Yo, hold on, guys. You're over talking.
He asked the question: is it safe to assume? And I'm answering no.
Hold on one second, guys.
Graham, can you hear other people?
It's not safe to assume. I'm answering your question. No, it's not. That's what got us into this mess in the first place, is just assuming things.
So either the sun is a hologram.
Okay,
or the
now
Earth
that you
is a
said
sphere.
that, can you show me or demonstrate to me in anywhere in physics where light or heat came from anything but matter?
Good call.
And then we'll talk about what's safe to be assumed or not.
Yeah, assumptions aren't the fucking enemy, by the way, people.
Again, but when you're just affirming the consequent based on an assumption or confirmation bias, that's not.
Well, at what point don't we?
And again, like I said, this is why science doesn't prove things.
Just show curvature, and then we can use your model about Santiago, because we're looking at it and it's all a ball. We're already assuming in this conversation that it's the curvature. We've yet to see that.
All right, so San Jacinto has 6,000 feet of mountain missing. Canigou has, 2 kilometers, between 2 and 2.5 kilometers of mountain below the horizon. What does curvature look like to you? If it's not that.
What do you mean? What?
Well, I've just told you 2 examples of like fucking thousands upon thousands of feet of a mountain below the horizon as an example of curvature. And my question is, if that is not curvature to you, then what is?
I don't know what you're talking about. You have mountains that are below the horizon?
Yeah, like by kilometers.
Are you talking about the Canigou? What?
Yes. Yeah, Canigou has between 2 and 2,000.
The fact that we can see straight out to it for hundreds of miles and not seeing it behind the curve.
Ruhif, are you talking about the infrared, the big long infrared one with your red line?
Not that one in particular. I'm talking about San Jacinto, which is Jay Tolan's infrared stuff. And no, the one you're talking about is from Canigou over to the Alps somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can do a red line on any of them if you want.
Yeah, Fuzzy. I don't know if you've heard the Ruhif do this one before, but yeah, it's oof.
Yeah, this guy has
it's a deep conflation of multiple things, and remember when when you showed that one to Brandon, he was so funny that night. He was like, "Ruhif, what the fuck?" He was one of those nights where he stayed with us, like in the chat afterwards, and I was just like laughing because he was just like, because I think I showed it to him. Well, I think you and I had all been talking about it, and then I linked it to him and was like, dude, Ruhif says that. And then you came on and explained it, and like,
Yeah. And you guys denied perspective. Well done. Anyway, I'm going to jump over and pick up my girl, so I'll be about to go in a minute. This guy that's fucking parked his car has fucked up the guy next to me as well. He can't go anywhere. Now he's got to go backwards and fuck around. Jesus, dude. Anyway,
I will say, Ruhif, I will give you definite like points for creativity. You are creative. You put some creativity
Do
in
the
it.
right Aussie thing, Rory.
Just apply to
Fucking help him
mathematics,
out.
right? I can't fucking jumpstart a car.
What sort of a
I mean,
man are
because
you?
you're the only one that says the things you say as well. So it's like it's unique in that
Really?
way as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you're saying that we're denying perspective when we have to explain perspective to most Globers. What do you,
I don't think so, champ. Do you agree that, angular size is part
what's
of
funny though, I've had Globers explain to me that perspective is something I learned in art school only and doesn't apply to the real world. That's the level of I agree, but there's a lot of people on your side that don't think that.
Yeah, sure. Would you like me to give you
It's funny that you're saying that we are denying perspective. That's just, it's kind of
you
funny.
deny that the angular size, you deny an angular size calc. Absolutely. Well, Brandon did, and I think Gio did as well.
I had that guy Doofus maybe it wasn't Doofus, but somebody just pulled all this argument of an artistry tool or something like that. I'm like, bro, perspective applies to real life. It's not like a function that you use when you're drawing something. That's literally how shit is rendered in real life. Like,
it's
why
how driving
even
works.
What'd you say?
It's like how driving works. If you didn't understand perspective, you would have a tough time in a car.
Well, I guess I just don't even know why it needs to be mentioned, but like these
Because
angular
they're
sizes
grasping
need to be put in their
straws.
calculators too. Like whenever they're coming up with sizes, the angular size is not inputted into the orthographic calculation. So whenever they're calculating drop, they're literally just they're using. Sorry.
It's freaking cold. That's it. You have my image here?
Yeah, they're just like
too. You're assuming that east is a straight line from wherever you are, but east is only directionally from where the sun is usually what it's doing. That's what people determine.
East is perpendicular to north, right? East is
You're also assuming that. I mean, the sun displays to us, like I said, over the Tropic of Capricorn. You're just drawing it at an angle, which it wouldn't be at because it's at the Tropic of Capricorn. This is all just an arbitrary. Yeah, is that what you're talking about?
No, you're not getting the geometry of it, Gio. Seriously, watch the video that I posted. It explains why it rises south of east and sets south of west.
Is there a timestamp on this? Because I'm probably not going to watch a minute video this long that involves some of these people.
You also
go to about 25 minutes or so. Like, first of all, we start talking about the flat Earth shit, and then we finally, Brian says, it wouldn't rise south of east on a globe. And I said, absolutely it does. And it literally drew the geometry. Anyway, I got to go. I'll catch you guys later. What was I going to say? Gio, can you post a red line image of mine if you have one? All right, see ya.
Yeah, we need to start giving this a name, like a drive-by Ruhifing or something.
Drive-by roofie.
Yeah.
You guys deny perspective. Bye.
Yeah, we should probably just do that in their servers.
Well, the thing is, he actually did post some things this time, but he often is always saying he can't post stuff. So it's like, I'm like, oh, show me what you're talking about. He's like, I can't post it. But today he actually did. He pumped out the one video, which still kind of needs to be timestamped. Or I know what they're trying to say. I know where the geometric conflation is, but yeah, I'm sure what he shows here is what I've already seen. What do you think on this one, Riggs?
I didn't listen to the whole argument. I just caught on to the end. I've been stepped away for a minute.
Like, well, why do you agree that the sun rises southeast and sets southwest?
Okay, let me visualize it real quick. Hold on. So it go ahead, say it again, slower.
Well, I'm first asking, are you okay? The idea that the sun rises southeast, and sets
Southeast.
in the southwest during
Yes.
the southern summer.
Yes. So it would be, well, I guess it would be more in the Australian sky than normal. Yeah.
Well, like,
What about
okay,
it?
like the sun, like, you know, the cardinal direction is north, south, east, west. If you are at the winter solstice, well, it's winter solstice for us.
Yeah, Capricorn.
Yeah, where the sun's right at the Tropic of Capricorn, and you're south of it. You're south of that Tropic of Capricorn. However, even when you're looking direct east, the sun, in terms of cardinal directions, is actually rising south of east. And then when it sets, it's actually setting south of west.
South of west. Okay. Yeah, it's just a larger arc. Okay, and?
Here, this one, this is the ridiculous. I might have a real image for it. But this is the ridiculous one that
like,
the Australian
I answered your
rig
question. You didn't say anything, so.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I answered your question. I said, yeah, it would be a larger arc, and it would be more south. Yes. It's east to west, but more south, Capricorn. Yes. What about it?
Well, their argument is that that's impossible on an AE map, and then they claim that it's possible on the globe because of the tilt and the shit that Ruhif was bringing.
First of all, the AE map is equivalent to the globe as far as those predictions go, because it's the same tropic. So what the fuck are they saying? Am I wrong?
No,
I mean, is the tropic somewhere else entirely?
Due to the scale that the heliocentric model has, the sun would observably be south of east in a sunrise if you're south of the Tropic of Cancer. But I still say I don't get light on my southern wall. So if it does truly rise south of east, I should have light on my southern wall, which Ruhif claims I will. So the heliocentric model can say and calculate all at once, but if in reality it doesn't eventuate, it doesn't eventuate.
Okay, I guess I'm.
Okay, Riggs. Also, do you see that?
Right.
that
okay, I didn't know I was looking at pictures. Let me look.
The one that says personal area dome. The other one is the Australian rig. He made that one because it's like the main reason that he says he's not a flat earther is because of this.
Yes.
This phenomenon. It's also the thing that Jake, the asshole guy, it's the thing that he found. And this is it. And he claimed this is like one of Jake's entire reasons that he thinks the AE map is.
So that bigger line, the straight line, is the Capricorn line, or at least the path of the sun. Is that right?
Yeah, this little like quick animation, it's from Walter Bisland's thing, but yeah, it shows like, let's just say the sun is traveling over the AE type map on that Tropic of Capricorn.
Gotcha.
But you see how if you look in the dome, there's a little white dot or yellow dot, that represents where the sun actually is in your view. And you see how that's rising and setting south of west and south of east on this little animation?
The little white dot.
Well, there's a yellow dot on the actual sphere. Like there's two yellow dots, basically. There's the sun, which is like the bigger one that's supposed to be like going over the Tropic of Capricorn. And then on the little sphere there that's spinning, if you animate it, there's a little yellow dot that shows what the sun would be in your sky. Like if you were just chilling there on the earth, you're pointing up, And so the point is that it rises in, south of east and south of west, which you can see how it looks like the actual path of the sun and where it's setting look like they're diverging. So this is the reason that these guys say it's not possible on a map like this. And then Ruhif was trying to explain how it does work on a globe. However, on a globe, what I was saying is that the sun is still at the Tropic of Capricorn. Like that's what it's doing in the sky. And the Tropic of Capricorn is still north of Australia. So it's still, the fact that it rises southeast and southwest is still not geometrically congruent on a globe either. So this is a phenomenon that happens on both.
Okay, so you're saying that it's more south than it should be.
Yeah, like that's
visibly, but then actually it's more north or like right over.
Well, like in that little hemisphere idea of the personal area dome, like basically everything is just tracking rising and setting in the declination. So the point is that in the southern summer like this, they're actually seeing, like, if they were to look cardinally east or west, they're actually seeing, the sun is actually a little bit south of east and south of west when it rises and sets.
Well,
Whereas the
let
Tropic
me
of
make a comment
Capricorn,
real
the
quick.
whole Tropic of Capricorn, where the sun is all north of that.
Okay, so part of this animation is exactly what we experience. It appears that the sun and the light come into view in the shape of an arc. So the fact that the sun would be like way off in another, like at the other end of the arc and then swing in, that is actually what I experience every day when I watch the sun come into view every day. There is this big kind of like wave of light that is coming in at, it comes in kind of like in a curve, you know. But I guess most people don't see that, because by the time you see the sun, it's more of a straight line because your dome is so small. Does that make sense?
That's a good animation, Gio. I like that.
Yeah, who made that animation? That's actually pretty ingenious, because I mean, the motion can be an arc and it can still go straight in your sky, because you can't see very far. You know, and also it does move with your dome, so to speak.
Exactly. And then the one I just posted there, this is from Walter Bislin's model. I can send you the link. I mean, he's a globe earther guy, but he made this model. You've seen it, Riggs, right? I mean,
I haven't seen this one. I mean, I don't really know this argument. I have never. I try to stay away from like the Australian stuff, because I feel like there are better Australians to kind of tackle their own issues. But yeah, like it's kind of counterintuitive that your vision works this way, but it kind of does.
all right, I just posted his. That's a link to his website. That link might be like a particular arrangement of the model might be pre-selected because it's got all those numbers, but it is the link to it, and you can adjust it and stuff, and you can do tons of stuff you can click on. He does eclipses. You can change the camera height, the observation, the day of the year. You can change the size of the sphere, the little personal dome thing. You can move it around. You can change the time of year. You can put the stars on. You can take the stars off. You can add the moon. It's not like perfect, but it is kind of cool as a basic structure. And it also shows how the stars, the northern and southern quote unquote rotations, again, like just like that last image I posted, that's exactly what would happen because you're in your own field of view. And the larger system would be projecting onto your local region. So yeah, shows that.
I feel like I need to mention something that, like, it is, I guess it would be a claim, right? Yeah, it'd be a claim, but I guess I'll eat that. Okay, so you guys don't have to agree with me or anything. So my claim, and this is mostly because this is what I watch every day in the morning. Like, you guys know that I'm up all night. It's because I want to see the sunrise. So when I've been watching the sunrise over the last, few years, what I tend to see is basically like this big bulb of light, kind of like it's just like a big bulb of light, almost like a light bulb, like the head of the top of a light bulb, right? And then the sun pierces through almost pretty quickly. I mean, the light doesn't stay for very long before the sun pops out. But then when the sun is setting, and I watch the sunset a lot where I'm at, right? So growing up in my mom's house, like, we could watch the sunset every day. Like, it was a perfect view. We have good altitude. And what I notice is that the sun, as it's setting, kind of has this huge, like, glowing tail. So at the beginning of the day, it's kind of like a big bulb piercing through the cold air or whatever that is, having not as much light as the sunset. The sunset is huge and like the trail of a flame. Whereas the sunrise is more of like the piercing through that atmosphere, and it's just kind of like more of like a shield shape, just kind of pushing through.
almost like a Doppler effect, but with light.
I don't know exactly what that would look like to compare it with, but if that helps you guys, I don't know.
Well,
Anyways,
like the ambulance comes at you and it's high pitch, and then as it goes past you, it's low pitch.
Yes, it's kind of like that, but with light. But the way I visualize it is that the light itself, and perhaps even the sun's appearance, could be traveling with this energy field that it's emitting. So it, the image of the yin yang. The yin yang is almost exactly how I would imagine it's traveling through the sky, where there's this big glowing tail at the end, and this like very like short and bulbous on the front piece that's kind of piercing through the sky as it travels around. And that's why ever since I have been made aware of flat Earth, I've always thought it was kind of silly to say that there was like a Terminator line and there was, equal light on both sides. Because, I mean, if you guys actually like get off of your desk job and go outside, that's not how light works at all. Like there are these large effects that happen in the morning and completely different effects that happen at sunset. And there's a whole different gradient of light that happens throughout the day, where it's kind of like you're taking a light bulb and just passing it over your head. It's nothing indicative of parallel rays or like equal light. It just doesn't make any sense to me now that you think about a globe. Like the So yeah, as far as this, I would say that because of the size of the South and the large arc that it's making, and perhaps even mixing with the cold air from Antarctica and around the edge, because there's huge like the speeds of the trade winds, or what's it called again? The
jet streams.
The jet stream. I always forget that, but yeah, I think that the actual physical differences of the atmosphere play into account also with the light traveling with the geometry of the Earth in an arc to make it look slightly different, so that personal dome would represent with that arc itself. And I just, I can't really speak for it because I haven't been there, but I'm just using the example of where I'm at because I actually do watch that like a hawk. So I don't know if that helps. I think this is more of a problem for people who are there, who can like give better testimony and arguments for it. Because I can't like say, hey, look, well, I've been watching it for this long and this is what it appears to be doing, etc.
Well, their claim is kind of strange about the whole Australian sunrise thing, with the course of the sun. I've been thinking about that, and it just kind of makes sense on a flat Earth. I mean, I'm wondering what they mean by due east and due west. That would change on a flat plane based off of your relative location. So due east and due west would not be absolute for anybody. It would just follow the circle of the sun. So I don't understand why these Australians say, why is it rising south of due east? Well, the sun would have a place where it rises on the horizon based off of your local location, and it would migrate to the left or the right of that point that you arbitrarily set at equinox. That's it. That would be your north or south of due east right there. And that would be for anybody. So I just don't understand what their, criticism or their, contention is. It would migrate to the left or the right of wherever it rises at equinox anyway. So that would be read by local people as north of due east, south of due east. It really doesn't matter.
Well, I wouldn't say it debunks a flat Earth type of model, but I definitely think it changes. Like, it's not the same explanation that the globe has. So then it would be hard to explain on a flat Earth, only because it's the kind of shit that you can't exactly know everything about. Like it's almost like, tell me what the moon's made of. Like I can't go into the atmosphere from a top-down view and show you exactly what's happening. I just can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. To get the full, yeah, exactly. To do, I mean, it could be done. Like if we were able to do the subsolar point of the sun throughout its entire journey throughout the year and map that on the Earth, and then combine that with sextant measurements with stars, in addition to other map making, we could actually get the actual real layout of the Earth. And
I'm not saying it's impossible, but like look at how much water. You know, like it's the worst place for me to try to prove something, especially on the ocean right there. Like, I mean, how am I? I mean, I'm not even left with the devices enough to prove that personally. Like, it would take a team of people on boats, knowing exactly where they are. Also, like, I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it's probably not one of the first things that we would evidence. It would be something that we deduce later. And asking the question certainly doesn't falsify it. It just means that we're not going to lie and make up some bullshit.
Well, it completely makes sense to me in terms of the way perspective would function in that region. Like, just like those little animations I did, like if you have your little local region, the entire field is much larger above you. So that's going to have to, for lack of a better term, kind of map onto your own local region. Like whatever the big thing is out there has to kind of constellate to you. And then there's basically, you know, if you're just standing there, you can point your finger anywhere. You can just put your hand out, or your arm out, and put your index finger out, and everything in the sky, just like a dome, like a hemispherical dome, everything in the sky is going to move, and it's going to have its declination. Its declination is, you know, the angle from zenith and from, you know, just all of the mid. Well, this also referred to as the midheaven, but the midheaven point. But it's basically just right triangles. And so wherever the sun is rising and setting, or the stars are rising and setting, is just essentially precisely where they are in your field and how they're tracking across your sky.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that we could model it, but I wouldn't say that we would have enough explanatory power, just because like there's so many unknowns that could cause that effect.
But what if we just what if we had the real layout of the continents and the land, and then did the subsolar points and all the GPs for every star? Like, it'd be amazing to do that and just see if it all just works perfectly. Yeah. Like, there it is. There's the planar Earth with the sky field, the southeast, southwest sun setting. Everything is completely, you know, it would be, because I would say the sky is, what I was trying to say before too, is like the whole sky is a grid system of the Earth and vice versa, meaning there's always a correlation. And that's why we can have star charts and the positions of the sun and all that stuff. I'm not saying there can't be anomalies or things like that. I'm just saying that there seems to be quite a consistency for where things are placed in terms of, you know, and where your position is.
Yeah. Well, I do think that I would like to see more activity from, you know, our Aussie folks as far as the sky and the sun. I think that'd be great, but it appears that their government is pretty totalitarian, and I don't know how much freedom they have to do those kinds of things.
Our masters are your masters, mate. It's only a matter of time. But
yeah,
you're right. I'm going to do Corey's experiment on our summer solstice, measuring the sun over the 3 hours, and see if I can get.
You know how many Aussies I've talked to that say they don't really know what the shape or size of Australia is, that it could be something entirely different. I've run into so many people who say that, and you know, it's actually kind of curious to think that you live somewhere that could be entirely different than what they've told you.
We all could be.
Well, I guess, but I mean, the United States, it's pretty mapped out, man. Like, we have much more population than you guys do, and it would be kind of hard to fuck with known distances, I think, in my opinion. But like, you guys have like, I don't know what the population is exactly, like 1 to 10 or 1 to 5 of our population. So like you have a lot of open spaces with not a lot of people. And I don't know if you even are allowed to go like to the middle areas. A lot of places, dude, that from what I understand, it's like military bases and shit. So
yeah, look, there's lots of places you can't go in terms of like just too remote. But at the end of the day, north-south is very well mapped out and traversed. But east-west, that is where there
east
is
to
a
west.
discrepancy.
Right.
There seems to be a lot, well, not a lot, but it's wider than everything leads everyone to believe. And I've said this before, I've got some family that live in WA and have traversed across to the eastern states quite a bit. And Google's never correct. They're always hours out. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think there's definitely something to it. I mean, all we can do is keep poking at it. Dude, I love to drive. Like I'm big on driving and getting my getting my experience, my empirical evidence, so to speak, you know. But if I were there, I would probably love to just drive around everywhere like I have in the United States. You know, that way I could at least get a feel for what you're talking about and try to figure it out, because so much to know about Australia from the sounds of it.
It's just refraction making it look like the sun's coming up south of east and setting south of west. It's just refraction.
Well, if it were okay, so here's my argument for that. If it was refraction, then you would be able to tell the difference between the way it looks when it's rising and when it's like overhead, because you would see like almost a warping arc, because that would be the refraction correcting itself as it's overhead.
Yeah, refraction typically just does vertical movements, not left to right. Dramatic ones, anyway.
Vertical movements. Well, no, man. What I'm saying is that you have a much larger arc in the south. So in this effect that you guys are talking about, like even in the diagram, it'd be a lateral movement. It'd be like it would appear to come in below you, south, you know, but then it would correct itself when it's overhead. So it would kind of like go over your head instead of south over your head, kind of a thing.
Are you referring to the one with the dome in it, the personal atmospheric dome?
Yeah, the personal atmospheric dome.
That's correct.
So if that's what's happening,
was mentioning.
So I guess you could track this. So like if you're tracking the sun and you mapped it out, you know, what your personal observation dome or whatever is of the sun, then the angle of the sun's movement should almost have kind of like a little bit of a boomerang to it, where it starts off a little more south and then gets a little more north over your head, and then it goes a little south again. So that would be one way to show the difference between the arc in the south and the north. Because in the north, it wouldn't really do that. It would just be more of a straight line.
Yeah, and that makes 100% sense with regards to when in Australia when the sun sets, so you see it set where it sets, but then the light actually, like the disappearing, fading light actually takes a very evident curved path north.
Right.
So the sun sets and does one thing, but after it sets, that trailing light you were talking about before actually visibly appears to move off north, which is fucking just like you'd expect to do if it was doing a big circle over above us, a big arc.
Well, yeah, but I'm not even going to address I don't even want to address the light. I want to address the point of light, the actual circle of the sun. Because if it's a refraction, then See, when the sun goes overhead of where I'm at, it's kind of like this straight line across the sky kind of a thing. But I imagine if it is refraction, it wouldn't be an exact straight line in Australia. It'd be kind of a boomerang shape. So that would be something we could test, or at least, track and find out. Because the same way that a latitude changes size, like a southern latitude changes size compared to a northern latitude, if you're adding refraction, then the path of the sun would be slightly different in the south also. So that would be one direct difference that we could maybe check out and see if that works.
Well, you know how on that image or the little file he's got there with the Perseid atmospheric dome, the sun obviously is doing the big arc like on the flat Earth, and then we see what we see because of the dome. Now, what we see when it's setting in that little image is the sun obviously setting south of west. And what I was trying to convey before was the point source of light we would see optically set south of west. But then the fading light follows that path over a flat Earth. Like, obviously, we can only view things through our atmospheric dome when they're there, like obviously when the point source of light's there. But as soon as that point source is gone, obviously it's wherever it actually is.
Yeah.
And we see the actual light following it.
Well, the light following it, okay, so this is my personal opinion, but I think the light following the sun is just the illumination of plasma, which is also shaped towards inside of a magnetic field. So the shape of the plasma could be anything the fuck it wants to be, but I think it follows the magnetic field. So it could be anywhere that the sun is not. It could be somewhere else entirely. Like it's just the trailing light of the sun, kind of like a flame. It could, go with the magnetic field wherever. So that's why I say, like,
as opposed to continuing to see the sun fade south like it sets, it does the opposite. So optically sets south of west, but then the fading light doesn't follow that trajectory. It actually curves off north. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. Well, maybe. Okay. How about maybe it's attracted to the magnetic north? Maybe that light field, because it's plasma, is magnetically attracted north. So then it trails north. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't make a claim on it because it's a fluctuating eminence. Like, it's literally like a free floating light bulb. I can't. I'm not. I can't make a claim on it. It's
was
like
fucking awesome. Say that again. An eminence.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but yeah. Look, I think what we should do is, like, if we could get if we could just get, like, let's just track the sun at a northern latitude and compare it to a southern latitude and see if it makes the same shape of the path. See what the arc looks like and compare.
But it's only ever optical. So
I know.
We need to nut out how it's going to be tracked.
Well, I mean, there's got to be a way to. I mean, I'm not too snazzy with all the instruments and stuff, but I'm sure somebody knows how to do it. Like, just not only. I know most people who track the sun, they basically are like looking at the sun, but I don't give a fuck about the sun. I just want to I want to see the point source of light and then track it like a line in 3D space. And I want to see what the lines look like compared. Because the way I understand it, on a globe, they should be the same shape. But if the line is shaped different in the south, then it's something else. It's almost like like I said before, it's almost like saying the latitudes are different sizes. So then the arc would have to be different.
Well, yeah, the
or
latitudes are
possibly,
different
or
sizes,
possibly.
definitely.
So I think it's a worthy cause. It's like tracking a latitude in the sky. It's kind of like that.
What do you think would happen?
That's referred to as declination.
I don't know what would happen. I want to see what happens, but I would suspect that the shape of the sun's path in a line form would be, or like a segment rather, it would be different than the north. That would be I would suspect it.
Well, to get the full path of the sun, you have to differentiate between north, south, east, west as a plus sign, or lines that go off infinitely into space with no curve, versus the east-west circle of the sun. So the best way to do that would be you'd have to take the position of the sun at noon, and then draw a north, south, east, west plus sign quadrant on the flat plane from that location from there. And that would allow you to see how the sun's circling in and out of those quadrants from there.
You know what would be funny? It would be funny if it was like very different, and then the globe would just say refraction. Because that's essentially what we're trying to prove.
Because there's at least two ways to define east-west. Because there's at least two ways to define east-west in the cardinal direction: straight lines and an east-west curve.
So I don't know if you can do that in something like Stellarium, and I realize it's a model.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you could. I mean, if you could, and I've never used it, so I don't know. But if you could model it for the northern hemisphere, wherever your address, wherever you live. See that what Stellarium shows represents where you live accurately, as far as the path of the sun.
Well, hold on, man. Stellarium can be way off, so I just wouldn't even fuck with that.
But what I'm saying is, you can see if it matches what you see where you live, and then, I mean,
but that's not the point. The point is, fuck these models. Let's just look at what's happening and see what the shape comes back.
But the reason I suggest Stellarium is because it's much more practical. What you're proposing is going to cost money, time, resources. Stellarium, and you don't have to take it for, you can kind of take it for a grain of salt, but it might at least give you an idea.
Okay, well, in Stellarium,
what's the fucking point then?
In the Stellarium, it's a globe, so then the latitudes are the same size. So then it would show you the same size. So,
well, that is true.
So then what's the point?
Okay, if you already know the result on the globe, then there's that. Yes, okay. I guess that's the overriding question is you think what you would see would be different from what would happen on the globe.
Well, what I'm trying to do is not even trying to challenge anything. I'm actually just trying to compare a smaller arc to a larger arc, and on a globe there wouldn't be. So on a flat Earth they'd look different.
Yeah, what I find quite interesting, I'm not sure if in your country you experience, but like in New Zealand, every season and occasionally we have nights where there's no moon, but it's just super bright. You can see for miles with no moon, and the only thing I can think that is it's if it was a heliocentric ball, right? It should just be pitch black. But because it's not, therefore that's why you would have I don't know, I guess the spread of the sun from its path, because it's so light, it's mind-boggling with no moon. And this every season, not just summertime. The ballers would say, "Oh, summertime is because we have a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, blah blah." But it's not even in the wintertime with no moon. Just occasionally we have these nights and the sky is light and you can actually, see for miles What about where you live?
When you say no moon, do you mean just obviously no visible moon? Because the moon's there, isn't it? You just can't see it.
Yeah, well, when there's no moon, like it's in between phases, so it's gone away.
I think he's talking about like a new moon, as in no moonlight. Yes, whoever said that.
Can we stick to the point, or I don't know if you guys are trying to pivot, but
I think that's to the point. Aren't you trying to explain how the light from the sun reacts on this plane? And I think that it's quite relevant. I mean, unless you can come up with another idea like this plasma in the sky.
Well, I don't even care about making up some bullshit. That's what I'm saying. Like, yes, I think that there's electricity and it's causing the air in the sky to irradiate, and to create this light. But I just want to see the path. Like, if we're at, like, what's the latitude of or no, not latitude. I'm sorry. What is the latitude? What is the latitude of where are you in Australia?
Me, I'm near Adelaide. So Melbourne.
Okay.
Same latitude as Melbourne.
Okay,
West Coast or East Coast?
Yo, I'm central.
I don't even care what coast, as long as it's the latitude.
Okay.
Yo, guys, I'm gonna go get that vaccine.
Look real quick.
Okay. So who should do this? Whatever observation that you're proposing.
Okay,
so flat earthers or globe earthers?
Both.
Both. I mean, I think if you just have the right instruments, it shouldn't be hard. So we just need to come up with a solid way of performing it, give instructions or whatever, and just release it.
I think Corey's already done that. For some reason, people don't want to follow it or find it too confusing or something. That's the exact experiment I'm doing fucking 21st. So if more people did that one and did it properly, we might have something to go by. It's not going to give you the path exactly that you're looking for.
Imagine like UFC mixed with a flat earth debate, dude. Like you guys would debate and then you didn't have fist fighting.
Yeah, and I understand it would be optical, but it would still be interesting. Because even optically, if it's on I don't know how do you say it, like an opposing latitude. So like basically equal latitudes north and south, then it should be an equal angle to the sun, no?
Yes. Yep. Hence all their Polaris stuff and their sun calculations.
So then it should just look the same. Like the arc of the sun should look
exactly the same.
Okay, so then let's find a way if we can do this and just
The problem is when we see it, it's optical. How can we definitively know where the sun really is? Yeah.
I understand, but actually, it is in the same place. So
yeah.
So I was talking in text with Rakia. I kind of used the same exact argument, or I should say, flat Earth. I don't know what you want to call it, excuse, but I basically said, if it's an appearance, how do we know it's happening in reality? How can we know that what is appearing to happen is what is actually happening?
Yeah. Well, that's something we can get to later. First, we need to make sure that they check out. We need the critical evidence in order to critique it, right? So basically, we need, it would be beneficial rather. Let's find somewhere or somebody in the Tropic of Cancer, right? That as it hits the Tropic of Cancer, to track its path, and we can graph it out, or we can, get all the media that we can out of it. And then as it's in the Tropic of Capricorn, find somebody on that latitude and do the exact same thing and compare notes. And I imagine the line would be a little bit different. Just a guess. But not only that, I would say that both observers should watch the Cancer and Capricorn path that the sun takes, so that they can compare both.
Well, that makes sense.
So can I ask, are you talking about sun angles? Are you talking about measuring the location of the sun?
Yeah, sub-solar points, and then tracking the arc, so you can compare the arcs.
Yeah, I want to see the arcs. I want to see the arcs. So it's
depend-
just optical, but still.
So it would depend on what, if you're confirming or which paradigm you're confirming or denying, right?
Well, we'd see what the evidence shows.
He just wants to compare. Yeah, he just wants to look at the data.
Because, like, for example, in the heliocentric paradigm, you can allegedly measure the exact location of the sun. Many flat earthers typically will say that it's an apparent location. So if you mix the two, it might get lost a little bit. But if you're specifically, like, if you're debunking the globe, you could use that paradigm against itself. I don't know if that's making sense or not. But.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
that like on a flat Earth, we would expect the arcs to be different. You know, between the between Cancer and Capricorn. On a flat Earth, they would be different.
But
right?
We would also
or we would hope that
know.
they'd be different, I guess. But on a globe, they're supposed to be the exact same arc.
Yeah. Depends on the paradigm, like I was saying, because in flat Earth, we would concede that it may be an apparent location, not the actual location of the sun. So if it's apparent,
that's why you do the sub.
Well, it's always an apparent location.
Measurement.
Yeah, in
Because
reality, but in the
literally
globe paradigm,
has
it's
to
an
be-
actual location that you're measuring.
Yeah, so you do the sub-solar point.
I guess what I'm getting to, it could debunk the globe, but it wouldn't prove. It wouldn't be a pro flat Earth proof. It would be a debunking.
Well,
the globe
that just depends. I mean, this okay.
data,
If we could get like solid data for this and make it consistent, then this could be a stepping stone to further evidence or observations. So this is something we would need to know first to build knowledge for the next things.
So is this something like you're talking about the arcs, but are you talking something similar to what Corey Kells did?
I don't know. I've never, like, honestly, this is the first time I've ever talked about anything like this. I try not to involve myself with anything Australia because I don't feel that I'm positioned well enough to make any claims about it. I'm in the United States.
Yeah, well, it's neither here nor there. I mean, Jeremy's talked about this for quite some time, trying to do a sub-solar test, and many people have spoken about it.
Jeremy will talk about anything.
Yeah,
Well, I
but,
mean,
you know, it's
have
one
you
of
seen the
those things.
Corey
It
Kells?
takes organisation and too many people, and it's highly likely it'll never eventuate.
I don't
That's
think
the
so,
problem.
man. I think this could be something that could be done. So I don't see why not. I mean,
Get organising
look at it
mate,
this
and
way.
It might happen.
Look at it this way. You don't even need like a really good camera. You just need like something that can protect it from the sun so it doesn't kill the sensor. And then you need like somewhere to plug the equipment in, and then you just need a motorized
tube hung up vertical. And when the sun's fucking putting light right through the center of that tube at the bottom, you know it's directly above it at 90 degrees. And then you mark it.
I mean, there may even be like a 360 camera that could do this shit. You know, just record the whole scene and then track a line. Like, there's a lot of ways that it could be done.
But that has to be calculated back from the 3D camera.
What? You guys are talking.
I was just saying you would want to make sure it's plumb with both measurements, right?
Yeah. No, I hope they're fucking upside down. Yeah, of course they'd have got to be. I mean, you want it to be plumb. You want to make sure that it's doing everything you want it to do. I mean, I'm just spitballing right now. I'm like half asleep. you know. But I think it would be a good idea. I don't think I've seen anything like that, and I don't think I've seen anybody compare notes like that. And if we really do think that there is a larger arc or different movement in the south, I think it'd be a good idea to at least evidence it somehow. Whether or not it proves it, it would show that the motion is different than the north, which would be a problem for the globe. You know? Because it's not really about proving flat Earth. We've already done that with the surface. It's just about demonstrating how it's not a globe.
So new ways of debunking the globe in their paradigm.
Well, yeah, because I don't think that consistent. Okay, they could say refraction, sure. But if it is consistently performing this way, and it is consistently not the same line, that's a problem for the globe.
So
like
the sun
the
that
path
travels
of the
more than
sun should be
45 degrees
identical in
3
both.
hours.
You know, submit their data, and they couldn't fake their data because they'd have to submit the footage.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Corey's got a website. It's all there for you. You can go down and follow all the instructions and do it all.
So Corey's already done this?
So you've seen the Corey thing, his presentation?
No.
Corey's done something, I wouldn't say better, but he's done something that's more achievable.
Okay.
He's measuring it high solar noon, basically, and 3 hours later, measuring one section, which should